Today there was an organization called Wylie Islam, and they were giving hijabs to Muslim girls out throughout the high school, and they were giving out Qurans, and they also had pamphlets about Sharia law and other Islamic things, and they were giving out these bags. And I had a discussion with the women that were there, and we're trying to understand what's going on.
Like what? How crazy is that? That's in Texas at a high school. I got so many emails last night from people in Texas saying this kind of thing is happening. An Islamic group called Wylie Islam was allowed to hand out free Qurans and pamphlets on Sharia law, like that's a good thing, on World Hijab Day, which is not a real thing. There's no such thing as World Hijab Day. And the high school allowed all of this during lunchtime. Why Islam deliberately allowed to indoctrinate kids at a public high school, which parents and students there are clearly against.
Thank you so much for promoting the Islamic radical murderers on your campus.
This is not about criticizing any specific religion. This is about maintaining neutrality, fairness, and a religious boundary from education and religion.
What was passed out in Wylie East? Understanding Sharia. They're trying to put our daughters, wrap their beauty up and hide it. This is not a Muslim nation. This is a Christian nation.
This is just, it's insanity. Marco Hunter-Lopez is a student at Wylie East High School outside Dallas. He brought this story to our attention. He's also the president of the high school Republicans there. We're also joined by Texas Republican Congressman Chip Roy, who introduced a bill to preserve America from Sharia law in Congress. Great to have you both on. Marco, we'll start with you. So this was happening at lunch. I'm just wondering, were there any students like remotely interested in any of that?
So I was actually at a club meeting, and I was leaving to go get lunch, and I passed by the front of the school, and I see a big booth with Islam at the front of it. And I said, what is this about? And so I'm eating lunch, and I don't even want to give it attention, but I walked up, and I see about 8 or 9 different pamphlets spread out, and I see one titled Understanding Sharia. I also see the Qurans that they're giving out, which actually have the Shahada at the back of it, which is the proclamation that they want you to recite to become Muslim. And so this was actually an organization sponsored by the Muslim Brotherhood and the Council on American Islamic Relations, which the governor of Texas has designated both of them as terrorist organizations. And there was students that were at the table, and the parents that I've talked to and the students I've talked to are not okay with this.
Congressman, it's like insanity. Okay, so here we go. Understanding Sharia. According to Sharia law, a woman who's been raped can't testify against her rapist, and rape is not considered rape if the girl is over 8 years old. That's Sharia law, and a public school allowed this in your state, Congressman.
Well, first of all, Hunter, thank you. Thank you for being willing to lead on this, for standing up. We need that courage among many students to stand up for what is right. And what we're seeing right now in Wylie, what we're seeing now in Collin County, it should be concerning and setting off alarm bells for not just that part of the North Dallas area in Texas, but the entire state of Texas, the entire nation. Mamdani, what's happening in Dearborn, Michigan, what's happening in Minneapolis, what's happening with Epic City, not far from where Hunter lives, what's happening in Houston, Austin. The Muslim Brotherhood had a memorandum in 1991 that was very detailed and specific about the goals and the objectives of jihad against the West. And what's happening right now is a specific and funded effort to Islamify Texas and the entire West. And Wylie is just a perfect example of it. What used to be a small suburban town, now you've got interest there trying to Islamify it. This is, not just a problem with respect to passing out materials at school. This is a part of a political ideology at war with the West. If we don't recognize it, you can't win it. You can't win a war that you don't acknowledge exists.
That's such a good point. Congressman, listen to this. This is a Muslim woman trying to defend all of this at that same school board meeting. Take a look.
Promoting understanding tolerance. It seeks to create empathy. It supports freedom of choice, that every woman has a right to choose her attire.
There's no compulsion in conversion to Islam. No one is being asked to change their beliefs. Providing access to a religious text, any religious text, is not a safety issue.
All right, Marco, have they ever passed out Bibles at lunchtime at your school?
No, sir, not that I'm aware of. And the very coincidental thing is that they are very hostile towards conservative students. We tried 2 years in a row to get our club approved, and I had to get Congressman Self involved, our state representatives. I just reached out to the governor. They're very hostile towards conservatives, but they're obviously perfectly fine with Sharia law.
Marco, can I just ask you, I've only got a few seconds, but what's the sales pitch for Sharia law?
I guess they just think that they can come up to students because we're gullible, I guess, and I think that they're just trying to get us where they can get us. And, we're Western civilization, and they're trying to attack us at the very root of us when we're young, and that's where they're trying to get us.
Congressman, I've got literally like 30 seconds, but imagine the sales pitch to women telling them that, wearing a hijab is going to be great.
It's absurd. Here's all you need to know. We had a hearing on Sharia. My Democratic counterpart acknowledged that, no, it's not just Sharia. Sharia is for all of Islam. Keep that in mind. It is a march of Islam through the West. We have to stand up against it.